Now, if you got much past this point from it originally just being straight, my guess is that it would be getting close to breaking, but it's been sitting overnight in this curve, so it's kind of like gotten used to that curve, and curving it some more is no biggie. Okay, today we're going to be working with some plastic lumber. I've got a few things prepped. We're going to go around a flower bed. We're going to do some straight runs and some curved runs. So let me show you where we got started. Got some 2x4s here that I've had overnight, which is probably overkill, but I've had them there for a little bit, kind of curving around. And then I took I need some 2x2s. There's two 2x2s here, right next to each other. I've got those screwed into this and hooked on, as you can kind of see here. And the reason for that is I couldn't figure out, these are a little shorter, I couldn't figure out a good way to bend those and get a curve on them like I wanted with the 2x2s like I did on the 2x4s. So simply what I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna take those 2x2s and run along this sidewalk here and here. Was some work. Not too crazy though, it was all pretty soft. So as you can see here, I've dug out a few inches. Hopefully we can get that 2x2 right in there. Okay, so now I am taking the ends off that I only attached so I can attach my tie down strap to. Okay. Okay. So you probably can't see it all, but you can see here where it's not quite ripping up to it. That's actually what I wanted. Very happy to see that. What it tends to do is kind of bend a little more into the middle part and not as much on the very ends. So I've got a piece out here where it's not really touching, and then I got a part here in the middle where it's not touching. So that's okay. That's kind of what I was hoping it to be, this close. So what I will do is I will put a tap con in through here, one in on the end and one in here on the other end. Looks like I'll just need 3. Okay, so I've got a hole drilled in each end, and I'm going to drill a hole in the middle here, or somewhat in the middle, so you can see it. I've got some 3/16 by 2 3/4 tap cons. That's just a brand of masonry screw. So the size box I got came with a drill bit. If you get the smaller box, you buy the drill bit separate and it'll tell you what size drill bit to get. But for right now, I just know I want a hole right here and I wanted a little bit of an angle. So I've got here a bit that'll do a countersink. So I drill that out a little bit, let it countersink some, drill it out the rest. So that leaves me a hole where the head will rest into the plastic. So this is a 2x2, like I said earlier, and the plastic lumber that I've got here uses a nominal sizing, meaning that it's actually a 1.5 by 1.5, just like a 2x2 in traditional wood lumber would be. So what I'm going to do here is take my hammer drill and drill out this same area. And guys, one thing, if you've never drilled into concrete before, one thing that is a must, it's not really an option at all, is to use a hammer drill. Otherwise, using a regular drill, you just will not get the job done. Okay. Trying to mark where I want my hole to be. There we go. So that little quick humming sound you hear is it actually hammering and bumping the concrete, and that's really, and you must use a masonry concrete bit. Okay, that should be plenty. Sorry the camera angle isn't better on this. I'm one-man show. So, okay. Go grab a bit. See if we can get this one screwed in. So, an impact is what I'm using here. Just using some residential grade tools from Home Depot, Ryobi. But this being an impact, it hammers on the turn, not like the hammer drill hammers up against the concrete. This hammers on the turn and can help you get a lot more force with less effort than a drill. And you'll hear the hammering when it gets hard. Okay, so here we are. We've got the first bit installed. Turned out well. I had a little bit of trouble here on the end where it was wanting to be straight. So I got out the ratchet strap that you saw earlier and connected it over to the sidewalk, held it down with the toolbox so it wouldn't pop up. And that's holding that in place along with a screw. Okay, here we go. Kind of a look at the what we've got done so far. We'll stick another screw in that end there, and then it'll be time to start digging out through there for the 2x4, which will be a great amount more work in one way, but in another we're not going to be going into concrete. We're going to be using the rebar. I'll show you how that's going to work. Okay, good morning. We're back getting started. Here's kind of where we left off yesterday. We got this part completed. Dug out some here. Gonna finish digging this all out and up around the house. I went ahead and strapped up a piece on this really bendy corner, let it sit overnight so that it'll cooperate with me a little easier. So, set you guys up and let's get started. Stakes in. We're gonna leave about 2.5 inches sticking up. Yep, 2 to 2.5 right there. Okay. We'll move over here just a little bit, do it again. Okay, so what we did was we set this product down on top of our stakes and rubbed it back and forth, until it made a little mark, like there, there. Some of the marks you can see better than others. We may have to kind of set it, I may have to set it back up there and double check my marks, but I can certainly tell that this is a mark. I'm gonna drill in. And again, I'm using my impact drill for a regular drill, but it's working pretty well. All right, so we wanted to make sure our holes are about 2.5 inches deep. So, let's see, we're going to here. I see a mark on here, and that is about 2.5 inches. Well, can't go to the point though, so it's about 2 inches. Need to go a little deeper than that. And of course, 2 deep is fine. Or deeper than you have to be, I should say, is not too deep. Okay. So we're good 2.5 inches in. I believe the next one's here. I've got all the holes drilled, got it cut to the length I want it. Hoping that without too much trouble, I can fit these holes here in over these pieces of rebar. So the way this is bent, just imagine a 12-foot long 2x4. That's how long this piece is. Very similar. It's under some stress. It's going to want to straighten out some, but it's not going to want to go right back to zero. Learned a little something there. It's really a pain if you roll too much in this and make the roll so big that it's up against your tie down. People that use tie downs all the time are probably like, yeah, no joke. But I did not know that until just now. All right, so what we're gonna do, the shovel's holding this thing great. Again, it's not like it's trying to bow straight out. It's just trying to relax back into lesser of a stiff curve. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna over-exaggerate it a little bit more so that when it relaxes, it'll relax into more along the size that we need. There is a point that this will break. I don't think we're anywhere near that point. Especially, now if you got much past this point from it originally just being straight, my guess is that it would be getting close to breaking, but it's been sitting overnight in this curve, so it's kind of like gotten used to that curve, and curving it some more is no biggie. All right. So it's probably about as big as we need to go on the on that again, because as you can see, the problem is when it gets into this and gets too big, I don't want to release. So, all right, probably went a couple clicks further than I should have right there. Oh. And we're no longer hooked into the part I drilled out to hold it well. It's probably worse than it was the time before. Some people are slow learners. I guess I'm a slow learner on that. Yeah, definitely gonna need some help. You saw what we did here. We drove the stakes in the ground, getting ready to do the same thing again. And I've got an idea, and I'm gonna go ahead and drill the holes. Okay, so we learned during the time lapse there that my cameraman says he had the same idea as I had. So what we're going to do Of course, you know, after he heard it, he said he had the same idea. What we're going to do is we're going to drive these in here, hopefully. Looks like they're going to be tight. So this project, I would say, overall was just a little bit harder than I expected. It hasn't been too bad. So if you're sitting at home figuring you can run a mini sledge much better than this, then you'll probably be fine on this project. I'm sure many of you out there could do it better than me as far as getting winded. This isn't on very solid ground. All right, I just set up the camera. We're gonna try to wrestle this thing in there. Off of camera just now, Logan admitted that this actually wasn't what he had in mind, and this is probably a little bit better idea than what he had. So anyway, we'll see how it turns out. All right. So I guess we're gonna have to hammer all this down like a little bit at a time as we're kind of bending it and making sure it's straight. So this is going to be the key spot. So let's try to get this right. I think we need to pick the whole thing up, bring it towards me just a little bit, and you may have to take the back of that and push it out into the flower garden a little bit there. Okay, let's try this. Probably push down on it. Does that work? Wait. Now make sure we got it sticking straight up and down. So, kind of got lucky and lined that up pretty good. So, interestingly about plastic lumber is it expands lengthwise. So this little area we've got here, it may squeeze a little tighter, then separate a little bit, but I guess it's probably near 70 degrees today, so it's Texas, it gets down into in Dallas area 20s in the winter. It'll snap a little colder than that, but then typically 100, 110's your max on the other end. So we're somewhat in the middle, in the 60s to 70 range. Man, that looks perfect. All right, here we go. So we're gonna cut some of this so you guys can see it. I want you to come around here so you can get a really good close-up on it. Cuts just like lumber for the most part. I've got a sort of a finish blade on here. You wouldn't want anything with more teeth than this. This is an 80-tooth, 12-inch blade. A 60-tooth would be as good, if really not better. I would probably have a 60 on here if I bought it just for this. So here we go. Yeah, pretty uneventful. You can you see down in that? You've got some detergent bottles there. Looks like a an orange, and maybe a blue, some white. So yeah, this is just all stuff that was going to hit the probably go from a recycle bin to the landfill, you know, because there's not much of a demand for plastics. But this isn't. We're getting product here that's being used instead of thrown in the landfill. So this is all 98% recycled product. It's around 2% or less of a UV protectant and a colorant is all in one. So the UV package on this is a 20-year package. I'll put in the link to the manufacturer below. So if you guys need any of this or want to know where to get it, it's manufactured in Pennsylvania. We had it shipped to Texas, no big deal. So looking at this and understanding that this product is going to expand lengthwise, got to kind of looking at it. It's not going to be in between two pieces of like say you had this short piece. Of course, a short piece isn't going to expand much. My understanding is you're going to get somewhere less than 1/4 of an inch expansion on 8 feet. So again, not much. So this wouldn't expand much at all. But let's just say this would move 1/4 of an inch. If you had this between two pieces of concrete and it was going to move 1/4 of an inch, there might be a problem. Something's going to have to happen here. But with this product here, we've got this nice S curve, so we're going to put them together real tight, and if they expand any, what it'll want to do is push out on it this way, push over on it this way. It's going to be no big deal. So what I'm actually going to do is join these together, and which really isn't recommended, but again, in this situation, I do not see a problem with it. And I'm going to screw this to the back side here to keep this just perfect, and you'll never see it because it's going to be under mulch. Okay, so I've had a couple of questions from other videos asking if this product will float, so I thought we would just take a quick break and check it out. So this is a 6x6, which basically means it's a 5x5. It goes off of dimensional lumber sizes. So let's see if it'll float. And yes, it does. And I already knew the answer to that. It all floats. But the cool thing is I've talked to the manufacturer about this, and they've tested this product, dropped it in sulfuric acid for a half hour. They weigh it first, drop it in sulfuric acid, pull it back out, weigh it again, it weighs the same. So just think of detergent bottles and plastic water bottles, things of that nature. This stuff lasts forever. It doesn't take anything in, it doesn't leach anything out. So, you know, a lot of times you'll see people using cross ties or landscape timbers that's been treated in some way, creosote on the cross ties, some kind of dipped and pressure treatment on the landscape timbers. This product is got the UV built into it. It's the same color all the way through. So again, at least 20 years easy. It should fade very minimal over a 20-year period. So the product does cost a good amount more than a pressure treated piece of lumber. You're probably closer more into the marine grade price range of these 2x4s, but well worth it, and it's going to outlast the marine grade stuff even as far as how it looks. And it's already pre-finished, so you can't paint it any colors. It won't absorb any paint, so paint just kind of rubs right off. If somebody was to come up and spray paint this, I could come back with some solvent, some acetone or paint thinner, and wipe it right back off. So anyway, let's get to drilling a couple holes in this. You guys can check this out. Again, I'm just using my countersink bit. I'm gonna put 2 holes in it at an angle. All right, and then screw started. pull this off. Makes for some good TV if this hits me in the face. We're gonna try to avoid that though. So one thing we were discussing earlier is this arch. It's pretty even now, but really when you pull those together with the strap, you've got some fairly straight areas, and then it goes into a steeper curve. So that's where it's going to be good. We're kind of going to a straighter spot here, and then at the end of the curve, we'll just kind of cut it off over there. Hoping all this works out just right. And there's our dog Jeffrey. Hey Jeffrey. On TV. You want on TV, Jeffrey? Good boy. All right. Let's lay it out. Now you probably noticed we didn't dig down as much here because we kind of had a low area. So yeah, we have to do a little bit of bending on this. So the good thing about how we're doing this is, like, I want that to come out a little more towards the grass. So I just kind of do that. So if I'm a little bit off an inch or two on my cut, it's only going to pull this in just, you know, a quarter of an inch or out a quarter of an inch. So yeah, so let's make some cuts and we'll get back started on this work. I believe this here is going to work so well that I went ahead and pre-drilled another one. So let's go over here. I'm going to go ahead and throw this in. I know this one's going to be a little bit tricky to bend around. This is going to be our harder spot. So what I'm going to do is attempt screw these in by myself. Let's see. And yes, so I've got these two at an angle. So when they're sitting back here, I can, from the top, go in. We're fooling around with this and it's straightening out, but it's going to be more than happy, hopefully, to go back into place like we want it. So I've already countersunk these holes with my bit. So I'm going to go a little better than halfway down, just so it's easily hidden by the mulch. And like I said, I expect this one to be a little more challenging than the last one. So as you can see, it's about twice as long, and as I'm using, you know, 4 screws instead of 2 on each side. So hopefully these ideas like this are helping. You know, you kind of come up and learn stuff as you go along, and that's the great thing about watching it on YouTube, is hopefully you can figure it out ahead of time before you're actually doing your own project. Okay, so we've drilled our holes. We're getting ready to drop some rebar in there. Again, these were 2-foot pieces of rebar that I cut in half, so 1-foot pieces of rebar. Got down at the big box store. These were some other colors that we looked at and considered. This is a brown that's kind of dark. If you look at it in the shade, it's kind of got a little bit of a maroon tint. I kind of like that color. I think that would look good right over there on the fence. What do y'all think? This would be the other color. Comment below, tell me what you think would look the best on that fence back there. That may be a future project. They also do it in gray. So this was probably would have been the better and easier option. I kind of wanted to do the rebar into the deal and stake it down. Another option, of course I would have done it in black. I like the black. But the other option would have been get this product in a roll, which would have shipped a lot cheaper as well. So the rolled product is already curved. This being only a 1x product, where this is a 2x product. The 2x is 1.5 inch thick. This is 3/4. So it bends twice as easy, probably twice as much. So this would have been like really easy to have set down in here, just driven some plastic stakes down to about right here, drilled them in, then put some mulch on it. Yeah, so if you guys are thinking about doing this at home, get the 1x product. It's going to be a lot quicker and a lot easier. Could be used on this, and it's probably a lot more common, would be just a steel edging. The negatives to me on the steel edging, other than the obvious that it isn't going to look this awesome and that it's going to rust eventually. It's not going to last 20 years and then start rusting. I just imagine, you know, you got kids over and they're playing around, they fall and they hit their knee on this product. I would much rather hit my knee on this product than a thin piece of metal edging sticking out of the ground. So anyway, we're going to set this up and we're going to put this in the ground. I'm going to have some help though. Let's do this. Okay, so you can probably tell there in the high-speed video we had a little bit of an issue. This piece right here was longer just because we didn't get that curve to curve in there exactly how we wanted it, but no problem. We basically fought its way in there. Took the shovel, pried this out. That wasn't letting it slide right back in, so you can probably see me. I was taking this long piece and hammering this back not to mess the edge up. So we got it. That's what I wanted. That's perfect. We're gonna put a clamp on them here, pull them together, and then we'll put a couple screws in them. Should work just fine. Yep. Thank you. All right. 2 screws. Hopefully that will pull it right together. Well, that helped. Yeah, I'll do that. Lean up against that. Put it in there where we need it. Okay, that screw probably pull in a little more, but I probably just stripped it out. So let's just put a screw in and see what happens. These are not my favorite screws, but I got this weather resistant. A couple cool things about the plastic is plastic isn't like lumber. It don't care if you screw into the edge or towards the edge of the material like lumber. It doesn't split, it isn't grainy. Alright. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to put my last screw in on this side and see if it'll pull it in a little bit, and I'll put it down below the soil level. That's not that far below it. Let's see. There's where I want it. I would think you would split a 2x4. Put it in right there, that close to the edge. Yeah. All right. Well, that's not perfect, but
Okay.
Okay, so we're gonna put a piece up against the house and turn the corner. So what I was doing originally was gonna take this one piece, put it right up against the house, and put two screws in it, and then take this other piece and then put 2 screws in it. So get to looking at it. Put 1 screw in this. I'll put 2 screws here and a screw there into the wall, and we'll be done. Okay, so I've got one of my holes drilled. So since I've got everything put together, I'm going to go ahead and get it in here level. I'm going to go ahead and put one of my screws in. This first one, you want to get it in where you want to get it, of course, and that's even with the top of the sidewalk and bottom of those brick. All right. So then we want to get it level. Okay. Okay, so I put this C-clamp on here so our seam would be really good and tight. So when I drilled this hole, you know, it'd be good to go. So don't have to worry about keeping it straight or whatever. So pre-drilled the hole through here. Now we just gotta get the hole in the concrete. Now, one thing that I've also noticed when using Tapcon type concrete screws of any kind, concrete's just really hard, and if these threads don't bite on it, or you do it just a little bit too much, it's all or nothing. It's gone. So it's easy to over tighten. I've got a few toothpicks here. This really is one of those things that helps a bunch. Just take a toothpick, break it in half. We'll stick it down in the hole. It's still gonna fit. Everything will still fit down in the hole. We've got that pushed in there, and that is going to make a big difference. All right, so we are getting ready to put the screw in here, and if all goes to plan, it will be a nice tight seam, and it should be at an angle.
Alright guys, so we're having a few issues trying to get it to bend this sharp of a curve, just such a short piece. So head with us around the back, we have a couple ideas.
Not before.
Okay.
Okay, so we were having the hardest time getting that little curved, pretty steep curved piece on the other side of the sidewalk. So we tried a few things. We stuck this in the trailer hitch, bend it around, but it wasn't staying. So we finally decided to heat it. Didn't have a heat gun, so come up with this. So we're taking this. So I've got this heated up a bit. We're sticking it in this 2-inch piece of pipe, and then we're bending it around. You get out here. I think I can bend this. Video first. And with this being hot, it's kind of bending and staying bent once we cool it back off, which I will need that bucket from you. Thank you. So we're kind of probably doing it a little to the extreme, thinking that we can probably bend it back the other direction easier than we can, you know, get it to work with us this way. So the water, of course, is cooling it back off. And hopefully helping it stay curved. And it is, so that's great. Curve this last section. The grill's getting pretty hot, and you just kind of need it warm to the touch. Probably where you could grab it for 3 seconds without it, you know, getting real hot in your hand. But needing to kind of let it go after 3 seconds is probably about the ideal temperature. I've got this cut pretty close to length, but not right at length. So. So I'd heard that using a heat gun works real well with this. Again, I don't have a heat gun. And figure this would be quicker than running to big box store to get one. Because the big box store is a total, 6 minutes away, but anytime you go in there, it takes 6-minute trip. It takes 45 minutes. Okay, so I think we are getting it close. We're getting there. Just trying to get this last little section curved. We'll go around there. It's going to be curved way too much, but all right, let's try it. Just we'll stick it in there a little bit, about 1 inch. I'm mainly interested in curving that bottom part. Of course, you know that I just heated. Okay, so I've got it curved. Not like I want it. Now we're going to cool it. Just a little bit. Yep, let's try it. And luckily, I cut it a little long. Which that was the plan. Make it easier to mess with. All right, I found a 2x4 that one side was a little more. This is why I'm not using a scrap piece like I normally would. So this piece was a little more squared off than rounded, at least on the one side. That's the way it come out of the mold. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna take this piece, put the square side up. We got a little bit of an elevation change here. So we're gonna get this, probably need to shave just a little more off of this. We're gonna hammer this down in here, and what we're gonna do is we're gonna stack this on top of that. This is gonna butt up to here, and then this will help us with the elevation change and start off on the top. So I think this is the best way for it to come together, because if you was to go down here, by the time you come across here, you're way low down, and you're gonna have to make a transition somewhere. So I have to give the cameraman credit on that when he come up with that stack idea. I think it's gonna look real good. So let's get to work on that. All right, so here's what we've got. We just got a little bit of button up to do. So it's fitting right in there. Gonna put just a few screws in this, get it level in some spots, and all we're waiting on is some mulch. Okay, we're back here the next morning. We're getting ready to knock this out, finish out some mulch, we'll be done. We got finished with this product. As far as blood, sweat, tears, and money involved in this, we spent, I think, 0 blood, very little bit of sweat. It's February, and I don't think anybody cried, but we spent tens of dollars on this project. So if you would, like, subscribe, notifications, all that kind of fun stuff if you liked it at all. So appreciate anything. Thanks for your help. Magic probably did not come off near as fun as I was hoping it would.